Good evening again. Thank you for joining us for our APDA Passport to Research series. My name is Dave Grosby. I was diagnosed with Parkinson's November of 2018. I was real fortunate to have a connection with the folks here at APDA Northwest, and I'm very happy to be involved in this series and a lot of other things that APDA Northwest is doing. Their dual mission is providing help for today for those living with Parkinson's and hope for tomorrow by investing in critical research projects. Another reason why I'm proud to be part of this organization. Research is what we're talking about today, and we've got a special program for you today. APDA has invested nearly $51 million in critical research since 1961, and the Northwest chapter is proud to be the sole funder of Parkinson's disease registry, which helps speed up the research process by connecting researchers to willing participants. Keep an eye on your post-event email for more information about that registry and how to get involved. There's really some amazing research going on right here in the Northwest, and we hope during this series you have learned more about the work being done and the people behind it. Also today about how you can get involved and what it's like to be involved. Before I introduce today's speakers, I want to thank the sponsors of the program: gold sponsor Kiowa Kirin, Synovia, and Niagara Bottling, silver sponsor Amniel, and bronze sponsor Boston Scientific. Their support of APDA and the value of their educational programs like this is immensely appreciated. Today's Passport to Research series finale is the trials experience, featuring several members of our own Parkinson's community who have participated in trials. Again, I encourage you to ask questions in the chat. We will be sure to get to them as the program goes on. And I want to thank you all for being here. Our guests are Diane Hutchins, who lives in Rochester, Washington. Her Parkinson's journey began in 2005 with atypical PD symptoms that led to a Whitman sampler of diagnoses, including a brain tumor, aneurysm, MS, and all sorts of other things. In 2013, after 8 years of living with a mystery illness, she was probably relieved and find out that what she had was Parkinson's disease and it could be dealt with. In 2014, her quality of life was vastly improved thanks to DBS surgery. Jim Van Horn lives in Capitol Hill. He was diagnosed with PD 6 years ago and since then has been a participant in various short and long-term studies. And finally, Brian Harris was diagnosed in 2017 at the age of 48. Wanting to remain active and meet others, he started the Seattle Area Young Onset Parkinson's Disease Activity Group, that's CYOPD. They meet at least monthly to hike, kayak, eat, play in the snow, and to get to know one another. He's also a board member here of APDA Northwest. And I think everyone should answer all the questions that we asked, since you've all had your own experiences with the critical trials. And again, we appreciate you all being here. I think the first question I'll ask, and we'll go in the order that I just introduced you in. So Diane, you first. Why did you decide to participate in clinical research trials?
I guess my attitude is I've got nothing to lose, and it can certainly benefit other people. My philosophy is if I'm presented with a challenge or maybe a negative event in life, to try to make the most of it and to make something maybe positive out of it. And yeah, I would not be the beneficiary of things like DBS surgery and
I think your screen froze up there for a second.
we all benefit.
Okay, Jim?
Yes, I'm participating in this panel for pretty much the same reason. I'm motivated by helping get new information out to people who are interested, and I have something that is of interest to researchers into this condition, and so I want to help.
Brian, how'd you get involved? What was your decider?
Well, I love taking tests and quizzes. I'm a serial survey taker, so it was just kind of natural. Like Jim and Diane said, we hold the secrets, and the researchers are trying to find the answers to this disease.
How many trials have you done so far, Diane?
Oh, well, I've done kind of big ones. I'm participating in the Bastyr University Camp Care multi-year project since 2014 I started, and it's still going. I did a survey last night. Then I was also involved, am involved with 23andMe, which later became the Fox Insight project. That I started in May 2011, and at that time there were 5,745 participants who had Parkinson's. The goal was to reach 10,000. Muhammad Ali encouraged people in February 2012 to sign up for the project, And by March of 2012, there were over 7,200 participants. By July 2012, there were 8,000. And then I got a magnet, which I'm very proud of. I got
Nice.
this magnet when they reached 10,000, which was their original goal. And as of April 2020, there were over 40,000 enrolled in the Fox Insight study, which has produced all kinds of genetic information, DNA information. And they send you a little note, which I think is really cool when there's a breakthrough, and they say, thanks to your participation, we discovered 3 new exciting things related to Parkinson's research. So it's very gratifying to have that happen. And then the other thing I like is when you see products that are developed as a result of studies you've been involved with. So I haven't done that many, maybe 6 or 7 that I can think of, but the ones I've been involved with have been very gratifying.
Jim, how about you?
I've lost count, not because there have been that many, but because they tend to have goofy names, or they're studying some subtleties that go beyond me. But I've always found that participation is greatly appreciated by those who are taking your time and effort during the day. So I've been part of simple studies where I drop by for a couple of hours and talk into a microphone. And I've been involved in long-term studies that involve my revisits every couple of years for, might be a blood draw, might be a cognitive assessment, that sort of thing.
Brian?
I've been in 4. I do the online Fox Insight survey 2 every quarter, and I've done 23andMe DNA research. Fox sponsors that, so it didn't cost me anything to join that one. And then I've done 2 in-person ones, a gait study where they watch you walk and teach you how to walk more properly, Parkinson's is doing to you. And then the one Jim mentioned, every couple of years we go back, and it's a cognitive study that they test your brain functions on.
How about what was the biggest concern, if any, you had going into doing clinical trials, Diane? Was there anything that you wanted to be sure of or were concerned about?
I feel pretty comfortable, but I haven't done anything that's been invasive or taken any medications yet. That's something I still feel a little nervous about, and it's kind of, if it's not broken, why try to fix it? So I just partly that, and also because of my DBS surgery, there are a lot of things I cannot participate in because I can't do MRIs with the system that I have implanted. So that
Jim,
much.
Got it. Jim, how about your biggest concern going into clinical trials? Were there any?
Not really. Like I mentioned, I've always found that they're very appreciative of your time and effort. So they take a lot of time to make sure that you're fully informed and that you're comfortable with what they're going to be doing for the afternoon, or for, however long you participate. And they always make sure that you can exit at any time. So so they do a lot to waylay any fears or concerns. And so I encourage people to sign up, and if they have concerns, be straightforward about them, and they'll be addressed.
Any trepidation for you, Brian?
Well, first I spoke to my MDS to make sure that, the ones I was interested in, she accepted, and it wouldn't change my course of treatment. I respond really well to our typical medications, so I tend to stick to ones that don't require me to change my meds.
I think you're freezing up there for a second.
Or did I freeze?
Yep, go. Last thing we got was so you could take your meds.
Yeah, that's just it. Is I tend to stick to studies that don't require me to change my medication to participate in.
What would you guys say is the most common misconception about volunteering for these clinical trials, Diane?
I think that you're going to be taking some drugs and maybe get messed up, or yeah, or it's going to be painful. I think at worst, for me, it's been maybe tedious sometimes to fill out surveys, but I can take it. It's not brain surgery, so I've had that.
Sure. Jim, would you say there's any common misconceptions you'd like to clear up that people might have about these?
Well, I haven't spoken with anyone who's concerned about it, so I don't know what would be a common misconception. So actually, no, I don't.
And I just think it's the fear of unknown, that the people, they don't know what the study really entails, or what is going to be asked of them. So once you just read the basic questionnaires and gain the knowledge of what the doctors are looking for, it's a lot less intrepidatious.
We got a question from Stephen, and all three of you can answer this how you did it. How did you first get in touch with clinical trial researchers? How did you actually make the connection, Diane?
I think it must have been probably the Fox Trial Finder. And I may have seen that maybe through OHSU. I don't know, it's chicken and egg. Either I found something at OHSU and got involved with their trials and research, or else it was then Fox. I can't remember, but those are kind of my two main go-to sources initially. And then I discovered the Washington Registry. So lots of resources. You just have to know where to find them.
Jim, how did you first get started doing this?
I signed up with the Washington Registry. I forget now how I learned about it, but I was happy to do so, and slowly they made contact with studies that I appear to be, in the right demographic group for, and in almost every case, I make an effort to contact them and say, yes, I'm interested, tell me more.
Brian, how'd you get yourself involved in clinical research? How'd you find it?
Well, I signed up for the Washington Parkinson's Registry with the APDA and filled out their questionnaire, and then they sent me a letter with information on studies that they're organizing that I was a good candidate for. And so then I got in touch with them and found out more about those particular studies.
Yeah, I would say the registry that APDA has is probably the easiest way to do it, and as also pointed out on the Fox website as well, they've got it. They make it pretty easy for you as well. I want to ask a little bit of a different question here, and Diane, again, we'll start with you. How did it make you feel to do these studies, to participate in doing this?
I feel really good because it's helping people down the road who discover they have Parkinson's. There'll be breakthroughs maybe as a result of what I'm doing, contributing what I can. And when I see something that's physically a product, there was one study I was involved with called UTRUG, or iTrug, I think, iTug, but it's a mobility measuring instrument. And I down the road saw an article about it in one of the neurological journals. And I just thought, that's really cool. And it's something they can actually help people with and measure gait and help them with their treatment.
Jim, how about you? How does it make you feel to be involved in these studies?
Well, personally, I feel really pretty good about it. It's mostly that because I have a secret. I carry a secret with me that I can't answer, I can't solve, but I can help others learn more about it. And so that's why I want to participate.
Ryan, how do you feel about, how does it make you feel to be involved in these?
It makes you feel good to be part of something bigger than yourself and to help with your community. And it gives you strength to empower you, to know that you're taking control of your disease and that you're doing something positive to affect it.
notice there are 22 research studios that use the Washington State Parkinson's Disease Registry. So I'm guessing there are a variety of choices for people, right, Diane? I mean, there's a lot of different things you can get involved with.
Oh, yeah, yeah. The sky's the limit. Sometimes you're limited if your genetic makeup just doesn't match what they're looking for. Or for me, because of my DBS surgery, there are a lot of things I want to do, but I can't because of my implants. But there's certainly a lot to choose from.
Do you find that to be true as well, Jim?
In my case, I wait for the researchers to contact me through the registry. There's a screening process that they go through to decide who they think might be a good candidate. So the registry contacts me once a year to say, are you still interested in participating? And I always say, yep, keep me on there. And then I just wait for the researchers to reach out.
Ryan, how about you in terms of the variety of choices?
Yeah, there is quite a bit. The registry has 24, like you said, and they range in from pharmaceutical-based ones to DBS to just gait study. I like the online ones because I can do it from home and it doesn't cost anything to answer their questions. I've searched the web. Once I ran through the registry and participated in the ones that I was interested in, I searched out on the web and found that the Insight one for Michael J. Fox and some other ones that are taking place in other locations. So there's quite a bit out there and quite a wide range of criteria to participate in.
You can really get overwhelmed with the, and I'm not going to say what's not known, but the different ways that they're trying to go about finding a cure for this. It's got to be remarkable when you think about how many different directions they're trying to go in trying to find some answers for this.
Well, if I may, the progress of science involves a lot of dead ends and blind alleys. And as a participant, we have to, allow for that. What we're doing is probably not going to, result in a breakthrough. But science has to go through these dead ends and blind alleys. And if I can help check a few of those off the list, that's still progress.
I think you've already answered this question, but I'll ask it anyway. You guys all going to continue to participate?
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
No question about it, huh?
No, not at all.
By the way, you can ask questions if you'd like on our chat function. We'd be happy to answer any of them, I should say. Let me know what's the one thing maybe you'd like to tell someone who is considering participating that maybe they haven't thought of or should think of, Diane.
You could maybe ask the researchers. They're open to answering your questions. If you had any questions about the study, maybe more information as to what the end goal or the design of the study is about. But I'd say go do it. You can contribute. I think the Insight study with all the genetics is going on combined with 23andMe. That database grew from less than 5,000 up to over 40,000 now. And they really have discovered new mutations that seem to be implicated in some way to increasing your risk or to contributing to getting Parkinson's disease. And if it weren't for people contributing their DNA, I don't think the researchers would have realized that. And as recently, I think it's 1997, people were still saying, well, yeah, Parkinson's is strictly environmental. It's not genetic, but things have certainly changed in a relatively short period of time.
Jim, what would be the one thing you'd like to tell someone who's considering participating?
If you have any concerns, the researchers are super anxious to keep everyone as comfortable as possible. They'll answer your questions. they recognize that your time and effort is a valuable research that they are not going to squander.
Brian, how would you tackle that?
Well, there's a lot of things that researchers are learning by watching us and doing their testings, and there's things we can learn about ourselves and our own version of PD in those studies alongside the researchers. The gait study that I took, it showed me how Parkinson's was affecting my walk and how to recognize that and how to correct it. Some of these research studies actually pay. You're never going to get rich off of it, that's for sure, but they'll at least cover expenses to travel to these locations and a little bit of your time. So that always helps out.
I kind of told your story, Diane, at the start, but it took them about 8 years to get your diagnosis right. And I mean, what was it kind of a relief to find out that's what you had,
Oh,
as opposed
yes.
to all the other things that were going on?
Yeah, there were some really bad things they were suggesting initially, and I was going to work and wondering if I just literally die that day, and they have to pick up my body from work. But yeah, it was pretty bad, and I couldn't understand. I thought I was doing pretty well, and I couldn't get a diagnosis of Parkinson's. But then I realized that the first 3 years I was seeing people that were saying I had MS or other things, and then at the third year mark, I switched and saw somebody else. And that was like setting the timer. Okay, try some carbidopa-levodopa. And then you have to wait 5 years from then to get an official diagnosis of Parkinson's if you're still responding well to the levodopa. So it took me from the very beginning of symptoms 8 years to finally get a diagnosis. It was horrible. It was horrible waiting and horrible working and trying to explain to your boss why you're staggering down the aisles. And no, I haven't had a liquid lunch.
Right.
You know, you can give me the breathalyzer test. I'm totally sober, but it was difficult. And yeah, it was a relief when I finally got that diagnosis.
Jim, you were diagnosed 6 years ago. What were there signs beforehand? How did it come around to being diagnosed in your case?
After hearing Diane's story, I'm very appreciative of how simple my case was. I had some stiffness in one arm and hand, and I went to an occupational therapist, and that seemed to go nowhere. And my wife said, talk to a neurologist. And so some months later, I had an appointment, and the diagnosis was pretty straightforward. Put me on carbidopa-levodopa, and I responded.
Brian, how about you? How did it come about you got the diagnosis?
I'm left-handed and it affects my left side. So my penmanship went downhill fairly quickly. That was a fairly obvious sign. Like Diane and many others, it took a couple years of diagnosis. Luckily, only 2 for me. But you know, you go to your GP and say that's not it, and then he sends you to a different specialist. You come back and say, nope, that's not it, until they finally get it right. When I saw MDS, a movement disorder specialist, she was, you know, she ran the test in 15 minutes. Here, you know, take these pills. Here's the handbook. If the pills work, you pretty much got PD. So luckily the pills worked, and you know, I'm back to penmanship came back, walking came back, typing came back, and holding my own now.
Yeah, everyone's got their own story of how they got that. Because in my case, I was primarily non-motor. I mean, I just did not have the motor symptoms, so I couldn't figure out why I had other things going on, why I was having such a problem going to the bathroom and things like that. And I agree with you in terms of getting lucky with the diagnosis. I got lucky with it, and it went through, I forget the name of the scan they did over at UW Medicine, but showed that I wasn't producing dopamine, and that was pretty much it. We got one last question, and it's one any of you can answer if you know. Have you found all the trials for PD are for PD patients only, or are there some that family caregivers can participate in? Does any of you know if those are possible? Yeah, Brian.
Yes, there are both studies. The caregivers can be usually just surveys. There are studies that look for people without Parkinson's so that they have a comparison too. So there are studies for care partners and our friends and family.
Terrific. Well, I want to thank you guys very much for your participation today, and thank everyone for joining us for this final session in our 2021 APDA Passport to Research series. If you'd like to watch any of the interviews again or share them with anyone you can find, all the sessions will be posted at the APDA Northwest YouTube channel. Now, when you exit the meeting today, you'll see a link to a brief survey. We'd really love your feedback about this series, as well as a chance for you to give suggestions for future programming. And lastly, I hope you will consider doing two things in support of the Parkinson's community. The first is to join the Parkinson's Disease Registry. It's a great resource for researchers and folks interested in research. A link to it along with the video, which explains more about it, will be in the post-event email. Second thing is to join me and on a lot of us in this year's APDA Optimism Walk. It's Saturday, May the 22nd. This is APDA's biggest Parkinson's outreach event of the year, critical in funding all of APDA's program and services. Registration is now open for individual walkers and teams. Register today, fundraise online, and then on walk day, we'll participate in a virtual opening ceremony together via Zoom, and then head out and walk safely in our own neighborhoods. We will walk separately, but definitely be united in spirit. Post-event email will also have a link to the walk page, so we hope you'll consider joining us and invite others to participate. Thanks again to Brian, Diane, and Jim for your time today. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope everyone has a great evening.
Bye.